We are back. Before she comes up, we want to talk a little bit about Dr. Brown and how grateful we are that she is going to close out our graduate research symposium this year. Dr. Brown comes to us receiving her PhD from the University of Georgia. Her educational background includes background in biology, chemistry, and also public administration. She's done many, many, many things, and I'm not going to go into full detail because I would be here all afternoon because that's how wonderful she is. But here at the Dreeben School of Education, she has taught courses in college teaching, adult learning and development, and she has also taught courses in human growth and development in conjunction with Lifespan. So we are very happy that she is here to talk to you a little bit about closing out this session that we entitled The Whole Scholar for this research symposium. Please welcome Dr. Lisa Brown to the podium.
Thank you all. I'm so happy to be here. And I guess the position I kind of took is what happens after your greatness that you can look forward to as graduate students. So I looked at the theme of the symposium and educating the whole scholar for community building and a healthy mind, body, and spirit. So in terms of the agenda I outlined, I want to talk about the UIW mission and why we're here, right? And then why graduate student research is important, the spirit of faculty-student reciprocity, and also where can we go from here? Lastly, I want to take a futurist perspectives, because I'm in futurist organizations, about the whole scholar and how the scholar of today has really become very eclectic in my view. So when we look at UIW's 5 pillars or core values, one of the first being education. And we know in terms of education, the university educates men and women who become concerned with becoming enlightened citizens. 2, truth is a priority in terms of the institution. So the faculty and students support one another in the search for communications of truth. The third pillar being faith, right? The university is committed to educational excellence in the context of faith in Jesus Christ, the incarnate Word of God. 4, service. So the curriculum includes a global perspective, and we can see that from some of you all's research, and an emphasis on social justice and community service. And then that 5th pillar being innovation. The university is open to thoughtful innovation that serves the spiritual and material needs of people. So we subconsciously make this a part of our dissertation approach, essentially, because at the University Incarnate Word, those things are prioritized. Now, my area of expertise, if you will, is adult education or adult learning. And a lot of times people wonder, well, what's the difference between K-12 and adult education? It actually is just the fact that adults tend to have more life experiences that inform and serve as key characteristics of how they learn, why they learn, and what they want to learn. So one of the concepts I want to talk about in terms of, your approach or your worldview is this whole concept of power. So what is power? So power is the ability to define an event or term, set narratives, or validate a phenomenon as true. So when you think about yourself as a dissertating student and your research, you really hold a lot of power in what you're sharing with the world by way of your research. Then the other aspect of power is having the corresponding ability to enforce others to accept and operate within those definitions and realities. So while also disregarding or punishing any opposition to its dynamically imposed meaning. So power can be a force for good, or it can in fact be a force for oppression. Now, a lot of times we hear these terms critical thinking, right? The critical thinking is in fact a process. It takes place within the context of academic materials and knowledge creation. So we like critical thinking. We want to encourage critical thinking. It entails an interpretation and analysis of information using evaluation and judgment about a claim to determine its validity and completeness. In essence, we, with critical thinking, are forced to evaluate these assumptions we have using logic. Critical theory is different, and sometimes I think people aren't clear about the distinction. Critical thinking is a process. Critical theory is more of a philosophical orientation or worldview. It has its origins in Marxist thinking or the Frankfurt School in Germany, and Marxist approaches that require a unremitting critique of social conditions that create unequal power relationships. I talked about power earlier. It challenges the truths advanced by dominant groups, and it seeks the emancipation and the elimination of oppression using praxis. One of our presenters just talked about action research. So a key part of critical theory and its approach to knowledge creation is praxis, which means action and intervention, where we want to impart these notions of social justice, fairness, and equality. So one of the phenomena we're challenged with when we look at notions of critical thinking and critical theory is the whole concept of hegemony. And you hear that word, some people say hegemony, tomato, tomato, but hegemony can impede adults' abilities to think critically. And what is it? It is thinking that assumes something is self-evidently true and acting enthusiastically on that perception, even if it's obvious that common sense things in the world and all around you are working against your better interests. So hegemony is when you embrace an idea enthusiastically, not realizing that the power structure has indoctrinated or sorts you with this idea, which works against your better interests. An example could be that someone might be told to vote a particular political party, but they're not offering any kind of restitution or social justice that is impacting positively in their community. You're told that you always vote this way because your mother did it, your father did it, your grandparents did it, and voting this particular political group has not served your better interest. So that could be an example of hegemony. Now, when you think about critical theories, there are a variety of perspectives. And this was Merriam and Bierman 2014. Now we're in 2022. And I actually would add some perspectives here. So you have critical feminists. Some people might think it's real. Critical feminist theory. You have critical race theory. I think that our country has become so pluralistic and diverse, we really should think about critical ethnic theory, right? We have critical queer theory, but we've had a lot of evolution in concepts of gender, so there should be an evaluation of critical gender theory. You also can look at critical HR&D, where you look at human resource and development and the power dynamics there, where oftentimes the managers work in behalf of the organization more so than the individual worker. And that's another situation where you can see hegemony being in place. In any event, I tell my students all the time in my class, this is my mantra. So my goal as a faculty member is to do those things for graduate students I wish were done for me. And so my approach to doing that is to involve them in code-generated knowledge and research. And so I just did a quick year at a glance at some of the kind of things I've been doing. I always encourage my students to do research presentations like you're doing here, but also do them locally, do them statewide, do them nationally. Even if you apply to present at a conference and your proposal isn't accepted, usually there's a peer review process where you get feedback that will help you improve your dissertation proposal. Writing for publication, all of this. Think about presenting one of your chapters to a journal to present for a publication. depending on what direction you want to go in terms of your career, if you want to go the more academic route, publications are going to be a big part of that. If you're going the practitioner route, it still is a good way to kind of build your academic portfolio, because our position is that even if you're a practitioner, we want you to be a scholarly practitioner. So your information is being grounded in sound epistemology, empiricism. Oftentimes, as a practitioner, you might find yourself doing program evaluation, which is very much in the purview of what we have here at UIW and one of our areas of concentration. So writing for publication is something you consider all throughout your, graduate school experience. Then mentoring and building relationships. And so these are my day ones. This is Hal McCray and Jeff Neal. And what I typically do in my classes, I ask you nothing. You think I write an article? I mean, everybody's like, I'm just trying to get through this class. Come on. On occasion, people say, yeah, sure. So this is my first group of graduate students who decided to trust me. And we ended up getting our proposal accepted at this conference at Columbia University. And they extended to us to publish as well. So one of the things that happens is you get to present with their students. They get to build their confidence and, make networks and relationships with other people. And then you also get a publication. So we are finally in our final phase of this publication. And they sent this to us 2 days before Thanksgiving and said, get it back to us in 2 days. This is some of the frustration you'll deal with. Some kind of mishap where all of our references were messed up. So we literally had to go through the document in 2 days before Thanksgiving, because I had to make sweet potato pie and all that. So this wasn't on my agenda. But I was like, John, where you see the mistakes? And they all said it was just a hot mess. And me as the lead, it was my responsibility to put it all together, and we did. But I love working with them. And so this is an opportunity. Not only they got to present at a national conference, they got to work with me and I could mentor them, and we got a publication. Then we got an invitation to do another one. And so this is my summer session class, History, Philosophy, and Future of Adult Education. Small plug if you're looking for something to do, summer session too. And so our group, as part of what we did, to understand how philosophy and theory speaks to art, we went to the San Antonio Museum of Art. And so it was such a wonderful experience. We had a docent. And again, I extended, hey guys, let's take what we did in this class and turn it into a publication. And fortunately for me, Marissa agreed to do it. And she's here in the classroom today. So we got to revise and resubmit for what we shared with the Journal of Adult Learning. So we're going to be busy on the break. But also I pulled in Lisa. And so she worked with Pam, myself and Jeff to submit to the International Journal for Advanced Corporate Learning. So that manuscript is in peer review. And we talked about the phenomenon of quiet quitting. Have y'all heard of that? Yeah, so you have people who are like kind of withdrawing from the workspace because they feel like, the companies aren't valuing them as much as they used to in the past. You're not retiring with the gold watch, you're retiring with maybe insecure, retirement funding or healthcare and things like that. So it talks about that whole phenomenon of quiet quitting. And Pam comes from the corporate background. So she talks about how they try to kind of do this behaviorist approach to making sure employees get on social media and big up the company. So it's just a really fascinating, phenomenon. And so we were able to submit that and build on our prior article where we talked about spiral dynamic theory informing the way that people respond in those kind of environments and working in teams and groups. So this is the submitted manuscript we have here. We're waiting to have that peer reviewed. And then here's the one me and Marissa have. And so the editors came back and said, well, we initially submitted it as a teaching innovation article, but we would really like you to turn it into a full research article. And we was like, okay. So again, working with faculty, colleagues, and graduate students at national conferences, offering national expertise testimony is a part of your future. And so here you had me and Dr. Guzman Foster, and we attended the AAACE conference that was in Milwaukee this year. And so we talked about online civic engagement, political agency, and sustaining communities with informal education. And so here you see the lovely UGA graduate students. So they were there as well. We're like, oh my God. Here, let's take pictures. And so I got to know the graduate students that I had not known before here at UIW. And then, here's another opportunity for mentorship and opportunities to, co-author and publish. So these are things that we need to look for. And here we have this young lady. She recently is my. Oh, I forgot it don't work on this thing. But she graduated from UIW. So here's a recent graduate. Is it Dr. Ann Lee? Yes. Okay, good. Okay. And so another awesome thing you get to do is speak to national issues. And this goes to what I was speaking to about the gentleman who just presented. So the Federal Office of Management and Budget every 25 years reevaluates its categories as it relates to race and ethnicity. And so what they've been doing is holding public hearings, because you can imagine the United States 25 years ago is not the same United States we have now, largely because of immigration. And so some of the more simplistic categories they have, they just don't apply anymore, and they don't take into account unique ethnic experience, in our interest in particular, Black Americans who are descendants of U.S. slaves. So you can't take a person who's straight from Nigeria or Ghana and just think that they're just one big Black ethnic group. We have unique experiences as a direct result of being descendants of U.S. slavery and this political context. And so we are making the case that it's important to reevaluate these things. For one, this project is important because in terms of public administration, achieving fair distribution of government resources to groups is based upon you being able to clearly identify the groups, right? The other thing is obtaining accurate data for change proposals that center social justice and equal reform is important. And so the OMB is the organization who's going to direct the categories the census uses, any federal agency. So these are going to be the ethnic classifications going forward. And so this again is another opportunity for you to do cross-country, collaborations with other scholars. So I'm on Dr. William Verity's National Reparations Planning Committee. He's at Duke, and we wrote a grant to the William T. Grant Foundation, got $300,000 to talk about approaches to build coalitions on behalf of advocating for reparation for Black American freedmen who are the descendants of slaves. And that's his wife, Kirsten Mullins. And then that's our genealogist. We're all a part of the subcommittee of this larger committee. But the other beautiful thing is we got a book out of this. So we got to go into the listening session, present to the OMB, and make our case for why it was important to look at these minimum categories and its inadequacies. And then if you're interested, our book is already on for you. Amazon. So I'm on chapter 9, and I'm talking about adult education and civic engagement. I'm really excited about that. And same thing, like when you think you're done, the publishers always come back and ask you another question. So I got asked another question the other day, but fortunately, it wasn't like having to find all my references, it was just one. But that's just the life of, the academia and the scholarly life. But I'm really proud of this work and excited about it. So my takeaways are for you all as emergent scholars and present scholars clearly is participate in scholarly research, writing, and service endeavors on the national, local, and international level. It's going to help you frame, formulate, and strengthen your dissertation work or your master's or graduate work. Also, join these associations because now is the time to join them because it's real cheap for graduate students. So it's like $35 to be in these organizations. It costs hundreds of dollars to be members of. And so, again, like I said, if your proposal isn't accepted, at least you get the feedback. So, that's worth having anyway. And then you usually get discounts for the conferences as well. So look into that. And AAAC is a good one. It's only $35 to join that one. So network with UIW faculty in the spirit of reciprocity. For me, as an adult educator, I don't look at my students as these empty vessels I'm pouring into. I'm looking at future colleagues. And so I look for people who are willing to have the confidence and boldness to share with me, to give feedback with me, to write with me. And at the same time, I'm imparting my mentorship and direction. Remember I said at the beginning, my goal was I'm gonna do the stuff for people that people didn't do for me. And that's what motivates me. Lastly, stay healthy, y'all. Stay healthy, grow flowers. I started growing flowers because you have a black thumb. But I started buying flowers and I just started on my cheek. And now my flowers are flourishing, even in Texas. But I didn't realize how hot it was, and I put them on the patio and they wilted. I thought they were dead. I brought them back in the house and they came back to life. So, you create these spaces within your spaces of life, progress, just good energy. And how I did that was me growing flowers, and now I have a green thumb. So also, take care of your health. Make sure you balance with people. I'm not going to be able to do that for you. It's a nice way to tell people that. And then also, remember to keep your goal in mind is not to be an eternal student. You eventually want to get up out of here and make your contribution to the world. And I would say something else to you, sometimes people tell graduate students, well, you shouldn't be so aspirational about your, work, you're not going to change the world. I always had a mentality I wanted to change the world. And I feel like the work that I'm doing now has allowed me to do that. So don't have any shame if you have that kind of passion about your research that you want to change and impact the world. Because not only is it something that you might have personally, it's the UIW mission. So the mission is for us to change the world, right? To see justice and fairness among people. And then lastly, reflect on the UIW mission and the 5 core values wherever you go, and let the institution be proud to say that's one of ours. Because that's how I felt at the conference when I seen all of y'all there. Y'all really made us proud. And so this is like one of my favorite quotes. Is from Benjamin Franklin, and it's the quintessential adult education quote. Tell me and I forget, teach me and I remember, involve me and I learn. So that's all I have for you all. Thank you for your time. And,
Dr. Brown, on behalf of the DSA, we'd like to thank you for closing out our conference. We'd like to present you with a little something. Please give her another round of applause. We would like to see, if you're able and you would like to, if you could please turn on your cameras if you're joining us virtually. The DSA officers would like to recognize Dr. Ashley Love as our faculty sponsor. Dr. Love, thank you very much for your guidance and your support with putting this conference together and allowing us to really take the reins and try some new things this year. We are appreciative of you, especially working long distance and Zooming with us at all kinds of hours. We appreciate you. Let's give all of our presenters this year a round of applause. On behalf of our DSA President, Michelle, and our DSA Vice President, CG, myself and Melinda, our treasurer, we would like to thank all of you for attending the Graduate Research Symposium. We would also like to remind you that we are going to be having multiple events throughout the spring semester, so please keep in contact with us via Facebook, Instagram, or just email us. If you have any thoughts, comments, or ideas, we also would love to hear those. It is a team effort. It is not an individual effort. Also keep in mind that we will be fundraising. So if you tell me you want to help, I will definitely be in contact with you. And most importantly, we want to wish everyone here on behalf of all the DSA officers and of course the Drayton School of Education a very happy holiday season. Wherever you go, we hope that you carry UIW with you, and we wish you safe travels during the holiday season. Praise be the incarnate word. Have a great afternoon.